What happens when restraint itself becomes the ultimate act of power? As 3 Venezuelan vessels closed on the USS Gravely in international waters, the destroyer didn't flinch. Its commander held fire while weapons warmed and sensors whispered data across consoles. Overhead, an MH-60R tracked every wake and movement. Venezuelan crews likely never realized they were already painted by multiple targeting systems. Then, just as suddenly, they slowed. This was deterrence by design. But what inside Gravely's unseen shield made backing down the only option? How does a destroyer see what the human eye cannot? On the USS Gravely, it begins with a flicker of light across a green screen before the first signs of daylight. At 0517, 3 distinct returns appear on radar, small but sharp. They come from the southwest, off the Caribbean, moving fast. Too fast for cargo or fishing boats. Within seconds, the Combat Information Center assigns them call signs: Sierra 1, Sierra 2, and Sierra 3. The watch team notes the speed, 29 knots, and the direction, angled straight toward the destroyer's position. Long before anyone topside can see the horizon clearly, Gravely already knows something is coming. Inside the CIC, the air hums with quiet precision. Dozens of screens fill the room, glowing like constellations of data. Each sailor operates a single console, but shares one tactical picture. The main display feeds real-time information from the ship's AN/SPY-1D radar, capable of tracking hundreds of contacts at once. Every update refines the mathematics of distance and velocity, forming a story from symbols and lines. The Venezuelan boats keep closing, a steady curve of motion that draws toward the center of the screen. Operators calculate collision points, while the watch officer evaluates whether the approach marks surveillance or intimidation. The destroyer's sensors don't just detect, they interpret. The signal analysis system filters sea clutter and wind interference until the traces stabilize into clear radar signatures. Behind the operators, the electronic warfare officer monitors the SLQ-32V3 for emissions. This system listens instead of talks, silently sweeping frequencies for any radar or targeting signals that could betray hostile intent. Nothing yet. Just the regular pulse of search radars common to coastal patrol craft. Still, the range is shrinking fast. At this pace, visual contact will come soon after dawn, less than 5 nautical miles out. On the bridge, sailors man their stations, receiving the data through headsets. No alarms sound. The conversation stays measured, every command phrased with technical precision. The destroyer remains on its assigned course. The commander chooses not to adjust speed or bearing. That single decision says as much as any radio transmission could. Gravely will neither retreat nor escalate. The shield it carries begins not with steel or missiles, but with total awareness. The ship's layered technology ties together radar, sonar, and electro-optical information. Deep below, sonar arrays listen for accompanying vessels or subsurface activity. The absence of any undersea contact confirms that the approach is surface only, likely a fast patrol group. Above deck, sensors continue to update in real time, painting range markers across multi-function displays. The combat systems officer checks redundancy links, ensuring every console mirrors the same picture. Even in darkness, no one proceeds blindly. Within the CIC, discipline carries a rhythm. Routine phrasing, recurring numbers, repeated checks. It is calm, but not relaxed. The team knows how quickly a misread signal could turn an encounter into an international flashpoint. Each blip on the radar is treated with respect. The boat's increasing speed indicates confidence, maybe an attempt to test the ship's reaction. The Gravely's operators record both rate of closure and bearing drift, preserving every second as the situation unfolds. By 0536, the contacts reach medium range. The destroyer's radar adjusts resolution for detailed tracking. Every few seconds, data from the MH-60R Seahawk circling above cross-feeds into the network. Its sensors detect the same wakes rising through the water, confirming radar data with visual and infrared imagery. The coordination between air and sea platforms now provides a three-dimensional view of the encounter. No guesswork, only evidence. The early detection gives the Gravely's crew priceless time. Weapons remain on safety, but readiness levels increase across the ship. Decisions can now be shaped by verified intelligence instead of surprise reactions. On the radar scopes, the three fast boats glow brighter as they near the limit of visual range. Everyone in the CIC has seen patterns like this before, but the question still hangs. What happens when they finally come into view? As dawn begins to lift above the Caribbean horizon, the crew on watch prepares to find out what those Venezuelan sailors now see staring back at them. What convinces an adversary to slow down without a single warning shot? For the USS Gravely, deterrence comes from layers of readiness so complete that hesitation itself becomes a weapon. As the Venezuelan fast patrol boats cut through the early morning glare, Gravely's silhouette rises from the haze, low, angular, armed to the teeth yet motionless. The only sounds are the rhythmic hums of engines and the faint whir of antennae turning. Above, the MH-60R Seahawk circles with a steady rhythm, its sensor turret trained on the wakes below. From that vantage, each plume of froth and salt water draws a thermal thread that tells the ship everything it needs to know about range, bearing, and intent. A 5-inch Mark 45 gun dominates Gravely's bow, elevation motor calibrated and targeting optics awake. Behind it, the CIWS, the Sea Whiz Porcien, rotates with mechanical patience, barrel poised but silent. Every rotation is a message, precision already locked, waiting for only one reason to act. The Venezuelan helmsman would see that clear outline through binoculars, recognizing the radar reflectors and weapon housings typical of an Burke-class destroyer. They know the range of those systems, and they know their own weapons would not reach even half that distance effectively. Still, they advance, steady, as though measuring the American response frame by frame. Inside Gravely, tension is measured in heartbeats rather than noise. The Combat Information Center orchestrates what looks like a quiet ballet of data transfer. Safety switches remain on, but targeting solutions are already fed into computers. The Engagement Control Officer checks for radar returns that might signal an incoming lock. None appear. Communications circuits stay open on encrypted networks linking the bridge, air wing, and weapons control. Each phrase transmitted is clipped, professional, and calm. Restraint isn't improvised here. It's written into every procedure, every checklist, every confirmation made before action is taken. The Seahawk relays live telemetry. Its FLIR pod highlights 3 bright shapes cutting through the warmth of the water, separating them from false echoes or drifting debris. Operators aboard the helo call out exact bearing changes. The feed streams directly into Gravely's combat network, updating the ship's fire control radar and optical tracking arrays at the same moment. In this exchange, the destroyer and the aircraft merge into a single coordinated platform, seeing multiple angles of the same threat in real time. That integration eliminates doubt about intent or distance, the very elements that often spark unplanned confrontations at sea. Meanwhile, the Electronic Warfare Suite, the SLQ-32V3, stays tuned across bands of the electromagnetic spectrum. The operators know that an unexpected radar pulse could mean a targeting radar has gone active. That single change would turn this silent face-off into a defensive engagement within seconds. The monitors remain quiet except for the faint scrolling of signal traces that tell their own story. The Venezuelan vessels are observing, not yet provoking. That data steadies the captain's decisions. For all the firepower on board, no one wants to be the first to commit a hostile act in international waters. Doctrine within the Navy makes that distinction clear, Hostile intent must be proven, not assumed. A mistaken judgment could ignite something far larger than the narrow patch of sea surrounding them. Every sailor standing near a weapons station understands that balance. The real show of force lies not in pulling a trigger, but in holding it. Demonstrating awareness without fear, defense without aggression. Within minutes, subtle changes appear on screens. The fast boats reduce throttle. From 29 knots, they drop to 28, then 25. Their wakes shrink, turbulence easing as engines decelerate under new orders. At 5 nautical miles, they settle at 20 knots. No radio calls exchanged. No flares, no warnings. Just the quiet recognition that they've been seen, measured, and outmatched before a shot could ever be fired. The Seahawk continues its orbit, confirming the distance widening again. On Gravely's bridge, crews resume standard watch rotations. In the Combat Information Center, logs mark the time, position, and end of contact. The event fades as quickly as it began, proof that in modern maritime warfare, the mightiest message often travels through silence. The real victory aboard USS Gravely never appeared on screens or headlines. It came from calm voices, clear communication, and precision discipline that turned confrontation into order. No missiles, no warning shots, just command of every variable. Each crew member followed procedure built for moments exactly like this. In the Caribbean, encounters like this one shape regional balance. Every measured reaction becomes a move in what analysts call a quiet chess game, where power isn't proven through attack, but through restraint. Deterrence means knowing when not to act. In a world addicted to visible strength, the quiet shield still controls the board.